even in his case, and I would say for Tommy's case, both of their organizations kind of haven't been living up to the agreement.
Listen, I agree.
Of like, hey, I gave you this money so you go get players, and you never do. You never, especially receivers for those two guys.
Listen, the guy who used to own the Marlins, I want to say Jeffrey Loria. I get the Lorias confused, the guy who owns the Eagles and then this other. But the other guy down in Florida that now sold the team to Jeter and the other guy, he got the stadium built, put a bunch of players in there, and then the year later gutted the team. And then Major League Baseball and the Players Association went nuts, said, you can't do that. You can't tease your fans, get a stadium built for $1 billion, and then screw them now for the next decade. And then, so what did he do? He traded a bunch of guys after that, like, Christian, what's his face with the Yelich, all the other guys, Osuna, all these other guys he traded, and he paid Giancarlo Stanton $325 million to try to appease everybody. That's not the way it's supposed to be. It's supposed to spread it out, try to make it work. Even the Reds have been screwing the Reds fans for years. And a lot of that was because back when Pujols signed his big deal, a guy who had his agent was Joey Votto. He knew what the Reds had offered, and the money was there, and so Votto got that money earmarked for Pujols. It hamstrung that team for years. They were never able to dig out from underneath that, and even now they're making nice strides, but minimal. They're still not going to throw $100 million at somebody or $200 million ever again because they learned their lesson. So your Cubs can do it, Red Sox can do it, man, but not everybody works that way. And I like the way the Rays work. I like the way the Indians work. The Indians in the 90s started the trend of giving you security over market value. Now the Braves are doing that, and they've built a nice dynasty down in Atlanta. And it can be done, but it doesn't have to be, let's throw 300 at this guy, let's throw 250 at that guy, and then you just don't have enough to last past a few years. Even the Phillies are scuffling right now because they've had to let some guys go, and they can't pay everybody. And when you pay one guy like you pay Bryce Harper, it's not easy to bring back Real Muto. Now they've gotten rid of their GM. They brought in Dave Dombrowski. He's trying to be frugal enough to keep this Phillies run going. Hard to compete with the Braves right now in the NL East. So you've got to have originality as well as a big budget.
I think you have to be a player that knows that they can make money other ways than their performance on the field, like Mahomes and Tom Brady.
And there's only one Shohei.
Correct, but just even for Shohei, 50 years from now, will we remember Shohei if he has 0 World Series championships? No. I think that the reason Tom Brady is part owner of the Raiders, the reason he is offered the big deal by Fox to just go into the booth is because he has 7 Super Bowls to his name. And he is seen in the Super Bowl and throughout the playoffs in big games, yes, because he is great and he is good, but because his surrounding cast was also great and also good. And the only reason that is because he took hits financially during his playing career to build that legacy with winning and not just the ancillary, I put it in like apples and apples, like 50 touchdowns a season to like 50 home runs a season. Those things are great, but when it comes to longevity and actually being a face of something, you need to win, and you need to win the big one. And Shohei wasn't doing that where he was, and he realizes, looking at Tom Brady, looking at Mahomes, looking at all these guys, I'm going to get more bang for the buck if I'm playing in October.
Absolutely. And listen, Mike Trout's played in, one playoff game? You've got Miguel Cabrera has won championship. He's won a Triple Crown. I think arguably the last 20 years he's the greatest hitter besides Pujols.
Right.
Manny Ramirez, one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen. Did win multiple championships with the Red Sox, but the PEDs screwed him. So some guys have kind of stubbed their toes. But as far as Shohei goes, he's got to win championships. We won't think he's one of the greatest that ever played because arguably he played in Japan already. He came here. He's done great in his time here, but he's already gone on the IL twice for Tommy John surgery. So that's within 5 years of hitting our soil. In the next 10 years, he needs a couple of championships to take back to Japan with him to be regarded as one of the greatest players to ever play.
Totally
Not agree. Just a circus attraction like Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth won multiple world championships. He carried the sport for 20 years, for God's sake. He saved the sport in the 20s. during the Depression. So when you look back at Babe Ruth's career, the reason why he was so loved was he would hit 50 home runs in a season. That was more than the entire American League combined. That was everybody's home run. So, if Shohei can do on and off the field what some of these other guys have done, he's got to go with the championships.
I still got so much more on this. I got so much more because now I'm thinking about my own team. I'm thinking about my own faves. And
Let's
I'm like,
talk hot stove.
Why don't you do it?
We'll come with Shohei. Listen, it's going to be hard to live up to that contract, but since he was so unselfish with it, I think he's off to a great start.
Hell yeah.
That's the
Everyone
difference.
in LA loves this.
He didn't do this at the end of his contract. He's doing it at the beginning.